Hello, everybody, and welcome to another chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby. Hope everyone is okay today. Yes, it's very interesting, isn't it? The weather at the moment. We've got that cold snap again. Hello to everybody who's just joined us. Let's have a quick chat first of all. Anna Perkins, Paul Craven, Jerry Georgopoulos, Cosmic Water, Blood Nose. Hello, my friend John Kent as well. Not far from me. Yeah, you're all here. Drift Wannabe, hello to you. Good to see you. Julie Keys, Gary Thornbury, Julie Baldwin. Yep, we're all here. That's excellent. Chris Brown, excellent. Hello to everybody. Before I go into the actual main subject tonight, I just want to show you something that was sent to me earlier, which is an indication of what we've all got heading our way. Let me just see this. That's not the one. This is the one. Snow. Loads and loads of snow. That was taken at Detling Hill a short time ago, a little bit earlier on this evening, by somebody out and about. My son is currently driving home at the moment. He decided to go to Portsmouth for the weekend, and he's stuck in it. He's currently somewhere around Gillingham trying to get through. And where I looked at the traffic report, it's absolutely pandemonium, block solid all the way through there. I'm going out myself at 4 a.m. I've got to take some people to Gatwick, so I don't know what I'm going to find when I get out that way, but by Christ, it's getting bad. So if you are out and about, please be very careful, very careful. Definitely allow extra time. Well, that's that. Now, let's get on to the meat and bones of this, shall we? We've all been told for weeks, haven't we? Well, months even, that we're approaching an energy crisis. We're all going to have varying amounts of trouble with our bills, heating our homes, and obviously with this cold snap that we've had right now, we're in at the moment. I don't know what the temperature's like where you are. At the moment, I think it's 1 or 2 degrees outside, but when I leave for work in a few hours from now, I expect it to be well in the minus figures. When I was driving out in some country areas the other day, it was -3, -4, so it's pretty bad. We all need to keep warm. Now, I have got somebody locally to me who is in all sorts of trouble. He's disabled, and because of that, he's unable to work. He's on a low income, and he lives in a basic flat on a seafront with very, very little means of being able to improve his situation beyond the government help he can get. So, we do our best for him. I go and do what I can for him, and he's got neighbours that look out for him too. And somebody was kind enough the other day to buy him an item of, clothing with a heater built into it, so he can actually keep himself warm, which I think was a really, really nice touch. I think that's one of the main things, first and foremost, isn't it? If we know anybody vulnerable, or we know anybody that's going to suffer more than most, we've got to look out for them if we're able to. You've got others. Myself, I live in a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. I've got my wife, me, my 2 kids. One of my children is 9 years old, so we've got to, do our best to keep the place as warm as possible. And there are others that are maybe living with elderly relatives, or there may be others that are in a large house with not a lot of insulation, maybe, that are finding it difficult to keep it warm. And, we have to help these too. there are people that turn around and say, you know, oh, go and get another job, go and work 20 hours in a factory or something like that. But, you know, where are the jobs? Are they there to have? We've got to try and get through with what we've got. And, you know, the person with the no insulation in the rooms, we managed to get some help to him as well. We are all in this together at the end of the day. And I wish people would, you know, stop complaining about it. And we need to work together in our own communities, don't we? Make sure we all get through this and out the other end into the spring and the summer months, definitely. I see there's a lot of you joining pretty immediately, and that's great. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. And, you know, that'll let the algorithm pull this up a little bit more. I noticed the other day when I did an introduction video to this, I think there was something like 11,000 views, you know, and that just says what a subject this is. We all need to talk about it. I mean, I'm seeing people in here. Bobby Crush. I mean, let's highlight a couple of these. Electric blanket is the way to go. It's a game changer. Yes, I mean, there was another one I saw that somebody sent me the other day. It was like a jacket, but it had like a heating element inside it, and it was USB controlled or USB chargeable, and you could do that, and that's another way. I think that's one of the tactics, isn't it? Heat yourself rather than heating the home. And another one we used to do a long time ago was, well, I've mentioned in a video, or I will mention in a video, we used to keep a room in the place warm. Years ago, I'm going back to the 80s when I was a kid. We lived in a one-bedroom flat, and we were right on a seafront above a pub. So you can imagine the wind chill coming in. We didn't have double glazing or anything like that. It was single pane windows and quite drafty. And what we used to have was one of the old Calagas heaters. We used to keep that in there. The rest of the flat had electric storage heaters. And I know a lot of people have them now. And, you know, they're not very efficient and they cost a fortune to run. I mean, one thing that somebody asked me to point out, I've got this thing in here at the moment, which is a blower fan heater thing. And somebody said to me, it's not the best thing to buy because, A, they can be dangerous if they're plugged in incorrectly. And, you know, they're probably not the most efficient or cheapest things either. I'm getting a warm draft around my ankles at the moment, but my hands are starting to get a little bit on the chilly side where I'm out here in the cold garage. But if you kind of change the level of them, they're a little bit better. I saw Tad says, I didn't get central heating until 1995. I think there's a fair few places that still don't have it, you know. I mean, let's have a show of hands. Let's have a 1 if you've got central heating, or a 2 if you've got something else. And meanwhile, I got to open my Coke. USB blankets use less electricity, Lorraine says. Yeah, I saw Christine Ayres, Tracy Regan. You got central heating, sanity checkers. The majority of you have got central heating, so, you know, that's all okay. Okay, heat-wise, that's a little bit more efficient. But then we've got to afford to run the damn things, haven't we? I saw Anna Perkins, your boiler packed up a while back. What are you doing about it? Are you going to try and get it sorted, or are you using alternatives? What's going on? But I want to bring a couple of stories to you about other people's situations, because, as I said, we're all in this together at the end of the day. You know, to varying degrees, we've all got fuel poverty of some kind, and to varying degrees, we're capable of doing something about it somehow. I want to share something with you which somebody sent me. It's quite heartbreaking. It's a radio interview which was done with a lady who's got a couple of kids that she has to think about, and she's in work, and this is an example of somebody that is working who can't cope. So it's not only the elderly, the infirm, and all that sort of thing. You know, we've all got trouble somewhere. But let's load this up, and we'll have a listen. And it did bring a tear to my eye, I have to tell you. And it's ones like this where you think, surely we can help. But let's put it on.
Work in hospitals, we haven't had no pay increase, so everything that's gone up, my wages aren't really matching of what I have to pay out. And with Christmas, and my son's birthday is literally a week after Christmas, and they're asking for all these things, and it's really upsetting because they'll come down and say, you know, Mum, I'm cold. And I would say, go and put a jumper on, go and put socks on. You know, they shouldn't have to be living like that. You know, they shouldn't have to be saying that they're cold. And I can't put the heating on in the morning because by the time it heats up, I have to leave the house. And I have electric fire. So what I'm tending to do is put the electric fire on and then keep the doors open so the heat from the fire goes around. But it just doesn't seem to be working at all. And it is a worry. It's a massive worry. It's just eating it up massively. I get upset. Sorry.
Don't get upset. Don't get upset.
It's really hard.
No, I know it is.
I shouldn't have to be having my children live in poverty.
No, you shouldn't. None of us should.
My children should be able to wake up warm. My children should be able to have bath and not have to put on my dressing gown because it's big on them, just to keep warm, and having to put layers of socks on. And there's nothing I can do because if I put more money into my energy, I can't pay for food. And they've got school dinners I have to pay for, and it's really upsetting. It's really hard.
Oh, Emma, my heart breaks for you. Listen, Melissa was fantastic. You're fantastic. Listen, you're not in this alone. I know you feel like you're alone, but there are a lot of us are in the same boat because there's only so much we can stretch and save. But if the bills keep on rising, and then there comes a point where you just can't meet those bills, you just can't do it.
I know. I've had to. I've cut back on so much, and they don't really understand. Cause, you know, my 11-year-old and my 13-year-old don't really understand, and they're saying, "I want this for Christmas, or can I have that?" And I've had to save and just to try and get by. And I'm literally down to £73, and I don't get paid till the end of December. So and I have to top up their lunch for school, and I'm trying to give them everything that they should have at their age. And I've even applied to have a second job because I can't make ends meet. I shouldn't have to. My children should not have to live like that.
I can hear. We can all hear the heartbreak in your voice. And as a parent, I listen. I get it. It's the hardest thing we can. You know, we can put on extra layers and wear a hat, or we can do. But to be able to not be able to give your children what they need or what they want, it is heartbreaking. It is. None of us thought this would ever happen to us, I think.
I didn't think it would affect me. It wasn't until October when my gas bill came in, and I was just like shocked to see the price of it. I paid it because I got panicky in case they'd cut me off and I wouldn't have anything at all. And you know, and my youngest son, he had 2 baths yesterday because he was so cold, and the only heat that he could got was the hot water.
Oh God!
And it's just so it's really, really upsetting. And they wore this morning when they woke up for school. They had their bed socks on. They had the oversized jumpers that you can wear to lounge around in. And my eldest had fingerless gloves while he was eating his cereal because it's so cold in my house.
Can I ask you, Emma? The schools break up soon for Christmas. Does that make it harder?
Yeah, it's made it a lot harder. And I've invited someone else round because they're going to be on their own at Christmas, and I don't want anyone to be on their own, so I've invited them round for dinner. And they've said, you know, do you want any help? And I'm like, no, because I don't want people to come in my head. I think they're trying to give me money or buy me something to put on the table because they're coming round. It's like, I'm inviting you round because you're on your own. And I have, I would go to my parents for Christmas to be seeing them and to keep warm. I'm not going to want to go home. I can't enjoy my home because it's just so cold. It's really, really cold. And I've got old windows. So they're not the new double glaze that you have now. I've got the old windows, so you can feel the breeze come through. So my curtains are always shut. I can't describe how I'm feeling. It's really hard when you wake up in the morning. You know that you've got to get out of a cold bed. You don't want to get out of bed. My nose is always cold. It's just horrible.
I wish I could do something, Emma. I really do. At the moment, I mean, I've been banging my head against the wall on this story for ages now, because I know. I'm glad you and Melissa have highlighted it, but I know this is what people are going through, and I think we need to talk about it. We need to give these stories a public airing, because people are in trouble, people are suffering, and when I hear some of the rubbish that comes out of Westminster, it just drives me crazy. It's my blood boils.
I think if they don't live like it, they don't understand. And they don't live like it. It's not going to affect them, but it affects people like myself. It affects people that don't work and do rely on benefits. And I don't think I've ever taken heat for granted until
none of us have.
Until this month.
None of us have.
And I've just I just can't put into words about getting really upset how hard I'm finding it.
That poor lady is at breaking point, probably exacerbated by the fact she's got children with her. It's hard for her. Drift Wannabe, you're right. It's hard for everyone. We're all in equal amounts of trouble. Lorraine, in answer to your question, I don't know is the answer. That was done through a BBC programme, and I have no idea what her contact details are. I think that's a lovely gesture that you just made. I think what I might do at some point tomorrow is clip that footage out of there and put it on the channel as a separate video and see if there's any way we can, get that done. It's got to be worth a try. It's got to be. And that's the beauty with what I'm seeing in the comments as well. People want to help. People want to share ideas. And, it's really heartwarming. And that's why I wanted to do this as well. And we can use it. Set up a Just Giving page with a link to that interview, perhaps, if it's not already sorted. That's a good idea, Russ. But, we've got to try and find her. One thing I want to actually point out as well, just absolutely average there, just diverting away from the subject just briefly. Absolutely Average has just passed the 1,000 subscriber mark on his channel. So well done to him. He did a great interview with Trevor Colt last weekend. And I thought that was superb. And I think that's helped him. Now, one of the things that YouTube want from you as well as 1,000 subscribers is 4,000 viewing hours. Somebody's gone and looked at your videos, 4,000 hours worth of time. So, if you could be so kind, go and have a look at Russ's videos and leave him a comment on that and try and help him boost his watch hours up. That'd be great, and that'll help him out. He's a good man, and he wants to help people with all this sort of thing, and particularly the mental health kind of stuff as well. So, that's great. One of the other things I want to talk about as well is people in shared accommodation. I think they call them HMOs, where they don't have their own meter that they're responsible for, and they have to pay their landlord for gas and electricity. I've received a couple of emails from people that I want to read to you. I'm going to keep the actual names of the people confidential because I don't want to get them in any trouble or cause them any problems. But I do have their permission to, you know, let these out there. So I'll pull these up one by one. They actually come in sequence. I'll just get the right one. Here's the first one. Right. Okay. Hi, Andy. I watch your videos and chat in your lives. So the likelihood is this person is here right now. So good evening to you. I rent a flat from my landlord who has about 300 houses. He turns them to flats, and I buy electric from my landlord as he has his own meters in all the flats. He keeps making excuses about how he will get the £66 a month payment to help with energy bills. I rang British Gas today, and they said the money will have gone through to the landlord. They wanted the bill reference number to look up if he had received the payments on the bill, which are supposed to go to us. They said also get a copy of the landlord's bill to make sure he's not overcharging you for your utilities. Every time we have asked for the name of the supplier, they won't tell us, so I don't think we will have much luck getting the above. He's been overcharging people for years. My friend who lives in the flat opposite has been charging her 5p extra per unit. I rang Citizens Advice and they said it is illegal and he has to give that money back. Now, Citizens Advice do actually give some advice on this, which I'll cover shortly. My question is, how do I get anywhere fighting this? We've been contacting our local MP, but as yet, nothing has happened. My neighbour is disabled. She can't afford to keep the heat on, and her prepayment meter keeps eating her cash, so she has no money for food. If you have any ideas, please let me know. I can't prove it yet, but I think he's taking money not meant for him. That's the first email. Pretty disgusting. This is the second one. I'm 55 years old. I used to work for the NHS, theatres and on wards. Due to many incidents whilst working, I'm now disabled and I'm in receipt of personal independence payment and EESA on the highest amounts given due to my disability. I suffer from ME. I have severe anxiety and suffer from agoraphobia. This means I need a place that is warm and comfortable to live in. Unfortunately, my landlord is not passing on the current benefit given to everybody who pays for electricity. Given DWP and electric board, we have sub-meters installed and pay the landlord for electric cards, which means he is the person on the actual bill, even though we pay the money to him. I have been aware for some time now that I was paying more than other private homes since the meters were set by the landlord, and in the past, I always miss out on benefits given to others who have the electricity in their name, which is normally £140 a year. But this recent benefit means I will be down by £66 a month. With the amount of properties he has, he's earning a fair amount of money, which rightfully should be going to those in need and not someone who has multiple holidays a year. I am unable to do anything since the account is in his name, and he will not give any information that we need to correct this. I've contacted my local MP, who said she would mention this, but I'm not holding my breath. It would be easy to rectify this if they only gave it through the gas instead of electricity, since they can't be subbed in any way. So I can only draw the conclusion that this is to help the rich and not the poor, because there are millions of people in the same position. Feel free to use any of the information given in this email during your live on your YouTube channel, which I've just done. And again, I will withhold the name and keep that confidential because I don't want to cause anybody any problems. Hi, Mum. Just seen you pop in the chat. But there you go. That's two people in a building with severe problems because their landlord supplies their gas and electricity, and it sounds like they're taking the piss, not passing on the entitlement that they should be. What have we got here? Al Barker. Citizens Advice, Burr, Shelter, another organisation. No lawyers available to help when landlords are capping gas meters unlawfully. Tenants without heat and hot water. Somebody sent me a thing to do with Brighton as well, where something similar was going on with bedsits, where the residents were getting screwed over. And I do think this needs bringing to the fore. I think it's disgusting. How can they be discriminated against with the rest of us? It's absolutely mind-numbing. It really is how they get away with it. Now, there's lots of good suggestions in the chat, and people are talking, which is great. And if anybody hears anything, while we are talking, that can help somebody somewhere, then please say, drop me an email, leave a comment, do whatever you can. Now, I was looking up citizens' advice to do with that particular subject, and I'll just pull the information up. I don't know if you can hear my voice going. It's the temperature change. It's actually dropping quite severely in the garage, but I shall be here for the hour. Don't you worry about that. I'm just finding the section that's relevant to that actual, predicament, because it's important that we discuss it. There was a thing that the Citizens' Advice did say. Oh, there we go. If your landlord gets a discount on energy from a government scheme, which the £66 a month will be part of, they must pass on a fair amount of the discount to you. And there's a document here which says what you can do in the event that they play up. Let's share the screen here and see what we get. Right, I'll just make this a bit bigger. Okay. So your landlord can only charge you for gas and electricity if your tenancy agreement says they can. Check it to find out if you have to pay your landlord for energy and on what terms. I guess if it's landlord supplied meters in the place, you haven't got much of a choice. If your landlord gets government support, there are free schemes. The energy bill support scheme, that's £400 over the 6 months worth of payments. Energy price guarantee, energy bill relief scheme, which is offered to businesses. Your landlord should pass on some or all of the support they get from these schemes. So it sounds to me like they're not necessarily obliged to pass all of it on, but they have to pass some of it on. They should give you a fair and reasonable amount. I'd love to know the legal determination of what's reasonable. They should do this as soon as they can. You shouldn't need to do anything to get the support. If the full support is not passed on to you, your landlord must explain why. Sometimes none of the support will be passed on. For example, if your rent includes energy bills, and you've been paying the same amount since before energy prices increased, in this situation, it might be fair and reasonable not to pass on the support. I suppose if your bills are included in the rent anyway, I can see that. But if you've got to pay your rent and then the bills on top, that's a different kettle of fish. If your contract with your landlord ends before you get the support, they should still pass it on. Your landlord should contact you within 30 days of getting the support. If the 30 days ends before the 30th of November 2022, they should contact you by that date. Instead, they must tell you how much support they got, how much you'll be passed on, and why, when and how you'll get that support, and how you can challenge their decision. You can make a complaint if you don't get any support, didn't get enough support, or weren't told you could get it. You can complain in writing. There's a template there at gov.uk. What I'll do, I'll put the link to this article in the chat if this applies to anybody. I'll do that now. That in there. That'll go out on Facebook and YouTube as well. If your bills are included in the rent and your landlord has increased your rent because of the higher energy prices, you might be able to challenge the increase. If you pay your landlord separately for energy, which is where these two fall into, I think, your landlord can't charge you more than they're paid for gas and electricity. This is called the maximum resale price. The amount includes the units of energy you're used, your share of the standing charge, and the VAT owed, which stands at 5% for energy. If your home doesn't have an energy meter that records how much energy you've used, your landlord must estimate as accurately as possible how much you should pay. However, it's rare that a home won't have its own meter. Estimates should include passing on any discounts they get for energy, for example, as part of the energy price guarantee. If you have been overcharged, ask them for a copy of the bill and ask them to explain how they worked out the charges. But in this case, it looks like that they're not giving any bill and not giving any information. If they've charged you more than the maximum resale price, you can ask them to either lower the charge or refund you the difference. Talk to an advisor if you don't feel confident speaking to your landlord or you need help to challenge the amount you've been charged. If you can't resolve the dispute, you can try to get the money by bringing a claim against your landlord in a county court for the amount you've been overcharged plus interest. If your landlord is your heat network supplier, you might need to follow a different complaints process. So it sounds like the citizens' advice will help, or they're willing to try and help. But at the end of the day, it might be a case of suing the landlord. Now, when you get into those realms, it's a case of I can't afford to take anybody to court. I can't afford a lawyer, blah, de, blah, de, blah. But if you've got a pattern of evidence that there is wrongdoing, or you can show legislation that proves that they're not doing what they should do, you should be able to bring a claim yourself and reasonably successfully. Now, I would recommend someone like the Black Belt Barrister go and have a look and see his YouTube channel and see if there's anything there that covers any of this. He's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And also with court fees, you can actually apply for help with fees. There's a separate form you fill in. So if there's any benefits or anything like that that you're in receipt of, you can actually get a waiver of the fees or a heavy reduction, whichever, depending on what you're in receipt of. So it's it's something to think about. But they sit there in their ivory towers, getting their rent and everything, and they think they can get away with it. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a stigma about all landlords everywhere. There are some very good landlords out there. My landlord is a very good landlord. My friend, who I've been making sure he's okay, I won't name him because I don't want to embarrass him. He has a very good landlord. Others have shit landlords, but the the law of the land is there to help, and we've got to try and make ourselves aware of it. Now, what help is out there? Yeah, Cosmic War Toad. Before I go on, Black Belt Barrister's videos aren't to be taken as legal advice. That's absolutely correct. And he does state that in his videos as well. They're not advice, but rather guidance, pointing you in the right direction. And you'd have to back that up with your own research. I mean, he says a lot about civil procedure rules and all that sort of thing. And, that's the kind of thing where you use the court system to get all the information you need and, how things are supposed to work. But that's a very good point, Cosmic. Thank you for that. Listen, everybody, before I run down the list, welcome everybody to Andy the Gabby Cabby, this live chat tonight about the energy crisis, the fuel poverty. I hope everyone is okay. And please, if anybody isn't okay or needs anything, even if it's just a chat, reach out. You need help, reach out. Anything, just let me know. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. That just helps the algorithm get this chat about, and we need to get this sort of thing about everywhere, I feel. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. We're going to be doing more of this sort of thing because, it's quite obvious that it's a big issue for everybody. And let's, try and help each other. So thank you for that. And thank you for your support and listening this evening. Anyway, back to it. Now, there is a list of stuff. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is energy scams, which apparently are on the rise. Where I've done a couple of videos about this myself, where you'll get a text message or an email saying that you're entitled to something in return for an exchange of details that you give. And, people are preying on the vulnerable, and it's sickening. Now, I'll pull up this bit for you as well. Where are we? StreamYard. Okay, let's make this bigger again. Okay, I think that's on the maximum setting there. Energy scams are on the rise. Scammers have different ways of getting hold of personal information or bank details. For example, they could pretend to be a supplier offering a refund. I've had that. They'll send you a text message or an email getting you to click on a link, and bosh, they've got you. They can tell you they're from Ofgem, asking for information so you can get the £400 energy rebate. That's utter crap. You will be paid that by your supplier, depending on how you receive your energy. We'll cover that in a second. Be a debt collector asking for money owed to a supplier that's gone bust. Yes, I could do a whole other live stream on debt collecting bailiff scum, but we'll leave that for another time. Offer green home improvement grants. That's one I've had as well. And the best way to get around that is Google some of these grants, because some of them are defunct or bust or never amounted to anything. Offer energy investment opportunities. Well, surely if you're struggling, you ain't got the money to invest in anything. Offer cheap prepayment meter top-up keys or cards. That's a favourite one going around at the moment. And I think with cards and keys, I might be wrong here, stand corrected. I think the card or the key is tied to the meter it belongs to, isn't it? So if someone tries to flog you on, it's a waste of time. Offer energy-saving devices. Now, they can cost you energy. There's lots of those scams about. And again, I mentioned Black Belt Barrister. He's actually come out of a couple and, informed you of. You can all contact our scams advisor if you think you found an online scam, need advice, want to report an online scam. I think the main thing with these is if you are suspicious in any way, then don't go anywhere near it. You know, if it's too good to be true, don't go anywhere near it. It's crazy. Jane Griffiths got 500 quid, but not sure what for. Okay. Was that from the DWP or was that from your energy provider, Jane? Who was that from? Let me know. I mean, let's run through all of this stuff very quickly. Yeah, so we're getting the £400 energy discount from the government. Well, it's not a discount, is it? It's just a credit, and it's not really fit for purpose for the amount everything's gone up. Well, obviously, £66 in October and November, £67 in December, January, February, and March. I've been getting mine at the beginning of the month. I'm with Octopus, and I've just been getting a credit straight to my bill. I'm happy with that. That's the way I want it, and I ain't got to worry about it. Now, how you get it depends on how you pay for your, obviously, gas and lecky. If you pay by direct debit, your supplier will either reduce your direct debit amount or refund the money to your bank account. And again, when this money has been dished out, it's down to the supplier as to what they'll do. If you have a smart prepayment meter, yeah. I mean, the thing with smart meters, they can shove you on pay as you go anytime they like. I wouldn't have one of those for all the tea in China, but a lot of people have. If the smart meter is working in smart mode, the discount will be added straight to the meter, and you can check to see that it has been. If it's not working in smart mode, they're saying that you'll receive a code which you can use to top up online, or alternately a voucher, which is go to the post office. I'm not very keen on those vouchers. I've had at least one report from somebody that I know that they've gone up the road with a voucher thinking, oh, £66 credit, and the voucher's been defunct. It's been declined and hasn't worked, and it's left them in all sorts of grief. And in that occasion, it's actually somebody I know personally. We had to make sure that they were okay. If you have a traditional prepayment meter, that's one with a card, I suppose, or key, you'll either get an automatic credit when you top up, or you'll get a voucher. I haven't heard anyone saying automatic credit yet, only vouchers. But again, it depends on, what the actual company want to do. If you pay by standard credit or payment card, which is what I do at the moment, your supplier will just add it as a credit straight to the account. Now, the thing with meters, whether you're prepay or credit meter, depends on how bad it is, isn't it? I mean, if you're paying by direct debit or a card payment every month, talk to your supplier. They are, to my surprise, quite amenable. If you can prove that your finances dictate that you're going to have trouble paying your gas and electricity bill, they will help you. They will meet you halfway. One, I suppose, ace card you've got, I think it would be very, very difficult and a very, very lengthy process to cut you off. So, talk to them. They get you to fill in budget forms and all this sort of thing, but you will be surprised. Talk to them, get it sorted. If you're on a prepayment meter, I think it's a very different kettle of fish, because they're eating up your rate a hell of a lot faster. You put 20 quid on a prepayment meter, it ain't lasting 5 minutes. And inevitably, there may be some kind of debt on there earlier. you know, there could be some kind of debt on there as well. And I think in that case, you've really got to look at the ways you are heating, the way you are using your electricity, and find cheaper alternatives. I mean, if you use the central heating, for example, it's going to go really quick, isn't it? I mean, you need low powered ways of heating yourself. I mean, earlier on, I'll see if I can find the see if I can find it just as an example. Bear with me 2 secs, folks. It's just an afterthought come to my head. There we go. Somebody showed me one of these the other day, a heated vest, and a lot of them are USB powered, which are, you know, very, very low power consumption indeed. And, you know, you're heating yourself directly rather than, you know, the room you're in. It may be a way to go if you're pretty desperate and adopt a heat you rather than heat the room approach. The other thing as well, I understand is pretty good, is oil-filled radiators. Again, powered. Let me see. Again, like I said, in the old days, back in the 80s, where we were living in a flat on the seafront, we had a Caligas heater, and we just kept one room warm. And the person I was living with was my mother, who's currently in the chat right now, and she'll attest to what I've just said. You know, there's some of these going around as well. If I just share this out, let's stop sharing that one. There you go, oil-filled radiators. That's another one that's seems to be one that seems to be a good choice. And I've heard from people that have these, and they testify to them. Now, there are certain smaller heaters as well. I mean, not the size of my one. Well, about the size of my one, but not a fan heater. But they've got like a ceramic disc in them, and what they can do. Obviously, the ceramic disc gets heated up very quickly and radiates the heat around the room, and I'm told that they heat things up very, very, very fast, which again is not bad. It's all right. I'm just looking down, so I'm just trying to close a couple of windows, and the bracket for my webcam is covering over where I need to be. But yes, you know, there are items out there to try and you know, bring the cost down a little bit. Yeah, halogen heaters is another one, Lorena. I think Martin Lewis come out with one that Aldi's was selling. You just want something that's low input, don't you? Trying to heat the whole room can cost money with oil filled still. Yeah, I suppose you're right there, Joey. And I noticed somebody else said it as well. If you leave it on for a long, long time, it doesn't have an immediate impact, does it? I suppose. So maybe there are other ways, but you know, it's just a suggestion trying to bring it down. What's this one, Andy? If people have prepayment meters outside, they might cap gas unlawfully when you're not there. Can you please warn people, Andy? Even if written letters they ignore. There you go. If people have prepayment meters outside, they might cap gas unlawfully when you're not there. Can you please warn people, Andy, even if written letters they ignore? Okay. Yeah, I mean, they should have a court order, shouldn't they, really? but I'll look into that a bit more, because what we need is some examples of what's going on. Some examples. All right, let's go back to the list. The government's put a limit for most households on the rate your supplier can charge you for gas and electricity. That's the energy price guarantee that's running up until March 2023. The amount you'll pay depends on how much gas and electricity you use. I think they're trying to cap it at a typical household usage, aren't they? But, you know, everyone's going to still be paying more, I think. If you pay your landlord for your energy, we've covered that. They've got to give you something. And I put the link in the chat earlier to cover that. If your home is on a heat network, this is one I didn't actually hear of before. Heat network suppliers must pass on a fair amount of any discount they get from the government energy relief scheme. If you're entitled to benefits, you might be able to get £150 off your electricity bill, or £150 added to your prepayment meter. You don't need to apply for the scheme. Payments are automatic. Check which energy supplier you were with on the 21st of August 2022. You can also get the discount if your supplier is in the scheme. The following suppliers are part of the scheme. Let's put that there. They say it will be automatically added, but I would still chase it up if you feel that you're entitled to it, because I've heard of examples of people, you know, going without, thinking that they would get, and don't. If you think you're entitled to something, bloody well go and get it. Effect Energy, Boost, British Gas, Bulb, Co-op, E.ON, Eberco, never heard of them. Ecotricity, EDF, Good, Green Energy, London Power, M&S, Octopus, Outfox, OVO, Rebel, Sainsbury's, Scottish Power, Shell Energy Retail, So Energy, SSE, Utilita, and Utilities Warehouse. That's one I've not seen for a while. Utilities Warehouse. There's a show of hands. Give me a 1 if you're with Utilities Warehouse at all. Just give me a 1 for that. And we need 10 more likes, apparently, to reach the 100. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. That'd be great. And I've just had a booking in for my airport business, and it's covered up the chat. Okay, we're not seeing anybody for Utilities Warehouse, but years ago I was with them when I lived in a flat on my own, and the more utilities you put with them, the less you paid overall. So, you know, it appeared to be good at the time. Yeah, Christine, I echo your sentiments, because I tried to work for them a few years ago, and, you know, very, very pushy on what they do with their reps. What they introduced at the time was customer retention, and if a customer goes, you lose your commission. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But the concept seemed to be good at the time. Yeah, Anna, they do gas, electricity, mobile phone, internet, all the rest of it. It's, you know, and the initial concept was good, but, you know, as Christine points out, there can be issues. Thanks, Andy, for reading that out. They do it without a court order. Ignore letters sent. Citizens Advice Bureau, Shelter, another organisation, and own lawyers doesn't help. What now? That's how desperate it is, isn't it, Al? That's how desperate it is. I think a lot of the time we've got to try and find a way of looking out for ourselves. I mean, outdoor stuff is inevitably in a cupboard of some description, isn't it? I mean, do you lock the doors? Do you try and force them into, a position of trespass? What do you do? I understand your sentiment. I really do. I mean, that advice is there for a reason, because it's good, decent advice. But I think when they took away legal age years ago, that caused a lot of problems and left a lot of us shafted that might get the help otherwise. Now, I think we've got to be self-sufficient. I mean, changing the subject from gas and electricity for a second, I'm very big on helping out with credit card and loan debt. And I amassed a lot of knowledge about that subject purely because of my own life experience. And I realized that some of it you don't know. You don't necessarily need an expensive lawyer to deal with it for you. You can do it all yourself. You've just got to learn the procedure. It is out there. But I get the desperation. It's probably felt by you and a lot of other people. $50 super chat from Lorraine. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lorraine. And we'll come to something else in a minute. I appreciate that very much, the support there. And I see we have our first porn robot thing in here at the moment. So let's just get rid of them. If I wanted to do porn, I would go to the top shelf of the newsagents. But there we go. Yes, good job, everyone. 106 likes. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Right. Let's go down. So if you or your partner get the guarantee credit element of pension credit, you should get the warm home discount. You might also be able to get the warm home discount if you get a different benefit and the government decides you have high energy costs. They'll work that out automatically. You don't need to contact them. But again, I would say if you are of an opinion you are entitled, don't listen to that. Go and chase it. If you have high energy costs, you'll get the warm home discount if you get any of the following: universal credit, pension credit, savings credit, housing benefit, income-based job seekers allowance, income-related employment support allowance, child tax credits, working tax credits, income support. So, that is there. There is such a thing as a fuel voucher as well. If you can't afford to top up your prepayment meter, you might be able to get a fuel voucher. I know someone that actually took advantage of this. There's a code given to you in a letter or a text message or email, and you can use it to add credit to your gas card or electric key. If you don't have one of these, contact your supplier to get one. So again, I think they are as amenable as they can be. I really think they are. If you don't use gas or electricity to heat your home and some other kind of way like oil, LPG, coal, wood, or anything like that, you may be able to get extra financial help if you can show you can't afford to heat yourself. But, that'll be an expenses form, I would guess. The winter fuel payment is an annual one-off payment to help you pay for heating during the winter. You can usually get a winter fuel payment if you were born on or before 25th of September 1956. You'll automatically get an extra pensioner cost of living payment with your usual winter fuel payment in either November or December. You should start getting the winter fuel payment automatically once you reach state pension age, but sometimes you might need to apply. How much pensioner cost of living payment you'll get? You'll get £300 if you live either on your own or with people who don't qualify for a winter fuel payment. If you live with someone else who qualifies for the winter fuel payment, the amount you'll get depends on whether either of you get any of the following: pension credit, income-related ESA, income-based JSA. If either you or the person you live with gets one of these benefits, you'll both get £300, as long as you're not partners. If you're partners, you'll only get one lot. If neither of you get one of these benefits, you'll both get £150. If you live in residential care and qualify for the winter fuel payment, you'll get 150 unless you get any other benefits. Cold weather payments are a one-off payment to help you pay for extra heating when it's very cold. You'll get a payment each time the temperature drops below a specific temperature for a set period of time. I can see that getting triggered. You'll only be eligible for a cold weather payment if you already get pension credit, income support, income-based job seekers allowance, income-related employment and support allowance, universal credit, support for mortgage interest. Now, this is one that I didn't realise. I'll put this on the screen so you can see it. If you've got any respiratory problems at all, I suppose sleep apnea or COPD or anything like that, let's see, where you need some kind of oxygen concentrator, which is going to use a lot of power, you can actually get a rebate every 3 months. So if you use an oxygen concentrator for a disability or health condition, you can get money back for the use, called a rebate. You can get a rebate every 3 months. The person who installs your concentrator should tell you how to get it. If your rebate hasn't been set up, contact the supplier for your concentrator, and it'll depend where you live, and there's some contact details there. So that's if you've got health conditions. If you've got an amount of arrears built up, there are various grant schemes depending on the supplier. You can apply to try and get some or all of it written off. Now, I know that if you go down this road, they will expect something from you in return, like a payment over a fixed amount of time to show that you're willing to work with them. There's the British Gas Energy Support Fund, Scottish Power Hardship Fund, OVO Energy Fund, E.ON Energy Fund, Next Energy Fund by E.ON, EDF Energy Customer Support Fund, Bulb Energy Fund, Octopus Assist Fund, and Shell Energy Support Fund. Now, I'm with Octopus personally, and who the rest of you are with, but they seem to be pretty fair, and they've got good reviews trying to help customers. There's another thing as well, local energy grants. The government are giving, I think, local authorities a certain amount of money so they can, help people if you are struggling with living costs. If you're finding things difficult, your mental health is as important as your physical health. That's right, because it will get on top of you. You need to talk to people. And you got the usual numbers there. Now, what I'll do, I'll put the link to this document in the chat. And I'll also link it in the description to this live stream as well. So there we go. So that'll give you the list of everything I just have. Now, it's very important that we try to keep our heads above water, because the bastards would have won if we don't. Life is a fighting game, isn't it? You've got to hold on to that hope out there in the distance somewhere. We're all in it, the old, the infirm, people with parents. You heard the nurse earlier on that I played for you. People in shared accommodation with meters that aren't their responsibility. We all have some kind of problem. Some of us are able to navigate our way out of it by getting an extra job, working more hours. Some of us can't, or because of the circumstances we find ourselves in, we're not able to. It really, we're all in it, and I don't think it's going to get any better in a not too distant future. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But we know the agenda. A lot of us, we can see what's coming around the corner. Now, one thing with this community that we have, we all have different life experiences. We all have different ideas. We all have different ways of helping, things we can bring to the table. we might not necessarily have otherwise. Now, one thing I would say, Watford's finest. I fart to keep my legs warm. Plenty of protein helps, but warning, don't strain, otherwise you may touch cloth. I like it. That is very funny. Thank you, Watford's finest. Brilliant. Now, one thing I will say is if you know somebody that's vulnerable or you think there's somebody that's going to have trouble with all of this, give them a call. Make sure they're okay. Hello, Bridget. Good to see you. Make sure you know that they've got everything they need, because sometimes they haven't got anyone else they can turn to. So make sure they do. You know, and it is getting colder out there. You saw the snow I showed you at the beginning. It's bad. Now, before we finish, there's one thing that I'm going to announce, which I'm going to do, and that $50 super chat reminded me. I can't do anything about your gas and electricity, but I can do something to help. Now, next week, I'm going to do a giveaway. I'm going to take £50 of my money. I'm going to get a gift voucher from a shop, a food shop, probably Iceland or something like that, where you can get more for your money. And I'm going to do a giveaway. That's right, a giveaway. I'm going to give to one of you guys 50 quid as a voucher, so you can go and get some food and hopefully free up that money so you can put it towards your bills or for Christmas or something like that. It's the least I can do to give something back to all of you that support this channel and support me every time. And also, if I can help somebody, I will. I help anybody. I will do. Now, one way I was thinking was picking someone at random. But the problem is with picking someone at random, you tend to have unconscious bias. I might be random and go, well, Kenny T doesn't like Iceland. That's fair enough. I'm only throwing that out there because it's just one place that I relied on when I was in dire straits. You can suffer from a bit of unconscious bias, can't you? So it's I like them. So what I'm going to do, I'll probably bring the video out tomorrow or the next day. I'm going to put a multiple choice question to you all about something. And if I put that out there, all of those that give the right answer to that question, I'll pick one of those people at random and they'll get the 50 quid. And if it works out all right, then I may well do the same thing the following week as well. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that will be done. I already looked this evening before I came out to see what we could do. I was thinking a digital gift voucher, and then you don't have to give me your address details or anything. You just give me an email address and I'll send it straight to you. That'd be the easiest way of doing it. But that will be this week at some point, my gift to you, 50 quid. And as I said, we'll do it the week after as well, if it comes to it. So that's that. That's my little announcement. What I'm going to do as well, I'm going to clip that video footage of... Paul G, appreciate that. That's it's very decent of you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to video clip that footage with that lady on that BBC radio interview earlier. I probably won't do it tonight because I've got to go to bed. I've got to drive through all the snow and all the shit to try and get two people to Gatwick at 4 a.m. and put that out there. And we'll see if we can locate them and see if we can help them too, because that was an awfully terrible, heartbreaking story. Now, I'm going. I want to thank you very much for all of your time tonight. Very much appreciated. I hope the information that I've given out and what I've played and, you know, what you've gleaned from each other has helped in some way. There's loads of information out there. There really is. If you're stuck, just look. If you've got a problem, come to me. Ask one of the other subscribers. That's what it's all about here, and we'll all get through this. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Then thumbs up are important. Make sure you subscribe as well. I'm going to go in the house. I'm going to have a cup of tea probably and go get my head down. Take care of yourselves, folks. There is content coming out tomorrow morning from 8 o'clock. 4 more videos. And I'll do this little thing when I come out about the question, when I think of a good one. And that's it. Until next time, when I find the right button to push, toodaloo.